Unraveling Us. A love triangle filled with love, betrayal, and secrets. Chapter 1. A love that was never mine. They say love is a beautiful thing. Warm, comforting, safe. But for me, love was painful. Uncertain. A slow poison I willingly drank, hoping one day it wouldn't kill me. I loved Vihaan. And Vihaan, he never truly loved me back. He was my first everything, the first man to make my heart race, the first person I ever let in. But the problem was, I was never his first. Not his first choice, not his first love, not even his first thought most of the time. Then there was Reyansh, a constant presence, the best friend who watched from the sidelines, waiting for me to realize he was there all along. He didn't have Vihaan's recklessness or his easy charm, but he had something better, consistency. I should have chosen him from the start. But love isn't always about logic. Sometimes, it's about making mistakes. And mine was Vihaan. Chapter 2. The Lies We Tell Ourselves. I met Vihaan in college, and from the beginning, he warned me. I don't do relationships, Arya. I should have walked away. But instead, I smiled and said, I know. Because back then, I thought I could handle it. I thought I could keep my heart safe. But Vihaan was the kind of man who pulled you in, only to let you go when you got too close. He made you feel like you were his entire world, until he found someone else to entertain him. And I kept making excuses for him. He's just afraid of commitment, I told myself. He cares. He just doesn't know how to show it. But the truth was simpler. He didn't love me. He just didn't want to lose me. Chapter 3. The Best Friend Who Waited. Reyansh wasn't like Vihaan. He never made grand declarations or played mind games. He didn't leave me guessing whether or not I mattered. He showed me, in the way he waited outside my classes when Vihaan forgot to pick me up. In the way he listened, really listened, when I talked. And in the way he looked at me, like I was someone worth choosing. One night, we sat on the rooftop of his apartment, the city lights stretching endlessly below us. You're breaking your own heart, Arya, he said quietly. I swallowed, staring at the skyline. It's not that simple. It is. He turned to me, his expression unreadable. You love someone who will never love you the way you deserve. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him he was wrong. But we both knew he wasn't. Chapter 4. The Night That Changed Everything. I had been betrayed before. But never like this. It was a party, loud music, flashing lights, bodies pressed too close together. I spotted Vihaan across the room, his arm draped around another girl's waist. She was laughing, her fingers playing with the buttons of his shirt. And Vihaan, he was letting her. I froze. My stomach turned. But before I could move, he leaned down and kissed her. Right there, in front of everyone, in front of me. Something inside me shattered. For years, I had been waiting for Vihaan to choose me. But in that moment, I realized he never would. And for the first time, I walked away. But I didn't go home. I went to Reyansh. Chapter 5. Crossing a Line We Can't Undo. Reyansh opened the door the second I knocked, his eyes widening at the sight of me. Arya. His voice was gentle, cautious. I didn't speak. I just stepped forward, wrapping my arms around him, burying my face in his chest. And he held me, longer than he should have. Tighter than a best friend should. And then, before I could think, before I could stop myself, I tilted my head up and kissed him. Reyansh stiffened. For a second, I thought he would pull away. But then, he kissed me back. Slow, hesitant, like he was afraid this wasn't real. Like he had been waiting for this moment but never thought it would actually come. We stumbled into his apartment, our hands desperate, our breaths uneven. His lips traced over my skin, his hands anchoring me as if afraid I'd disappear. And for the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about Vihaan. I was thinking about Reyansh. About the way he whispered my name. About the way he made me feel like I was finally enough. Chapter 6. Regret Tastes Like Bitterness. The morning after, I woke up tangled in Reyansh's sheets. Panic surged through me. What had I done? I turned, and the moment his dark eyes met mine, I knew. He didn't regret it, but I did. I sat up, pulling the blanket around me, my hands trembling. Ray, last night, don't say it was a mistake. His voice was calm, but his hands clenched into fists. Because it wasn't. I closed my eyes. I was upset. I wasn't thinking. That's not true. He sat up too, his fingers brushing against mine. You wanted this. Just admit it. But I couldn't. Because if I admitted it, it meant everything would change. And I wasn't sure I was ready for that. Chapter 7. The Return of the Storm. Vihaan showed up at my apartment 3 days later. I was wrong, he admitted, his voice softer than I had ever heard it. I laughed bitterly. That's it. That's all you have to say. He stepped forward, his hand reaching for mine. Arya, no, my voice didn't shake. Not this time. He frowned. I thought you thought I'd always be here. I shook my head. So did I. And then, before he could say another word, I closed the door on him. Chapter 8. 2 men, 2 choices. Vihaan wanted me back. Reyansh refused to let me go. And I was stuck in the middle, torn between the man I had always loved and the man who had always loved me. I won't wait forever, Arya, Reyansh said one night, his voice raw. I wanted to tell him he wasn't waiting in vain. But my silence said otherwise. And when he walked away, something inside me shattered. Chapter 9. A truth I never saw coming. The real betrayal wasn't in choosing between Vihaan and Reyansh. It was in realizing that neither of them were who I thought they were. It started with a phone call. A blocked number. A voice I barely recognized, but the words chilled me to the bone. You don't know the whole story, Arya. Ask Vihaan about the accident. Ask Reyansh why he really waited for you. My fingers trembled as I held the phone, my breath uneven. An accident. What accident? And why did Reyansh waiting for me suddenly feel like something more than just love? For the first time in years, I wasn't just caught between 2 men. I was caught between the truth and a lie I didn't even know I had been living. Chapter 10. The Ghosts of the Past. I confronted Vihaan first. We hadn't spoken since I slammed the door in his face, but when I called, he picked up immediately. Arya. His voice held something I didn't recognize, fear. We need to talk, I said, ignoring the way my pulse raced. Silence. Then, finally, he sighed. Meet me at the old house. The old house, a crumbling, abandoned estate on the outskirts of the city. The place where we used to sneak away during college, sharing stolen kisses and whispered secrets. I should have known then. Secrets never stay buried forever. When I arrived, Vihaan was already there, leaning against his car, his jaw clenched. You're not supposed to know, he muttered. The wind howled around us, but I barely felt the cold. Know what? He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. That night, the accident, he paused, his eyes searching mine. It wasn't just an accident. My blood turned to ice. What are you saying? He looked away, his hands curling into fists. Someone died that night, Arya, and I covered it up. I took a step back. I wasn't the only one involved. His voice was hoarse. Reyansh was there too. Chapter 11. A Web of Lies. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear my own thoughts. Reyansh. My Reyansh. The one who had always been there. The one who had held me while I cried over Vihaan. The one who swore he would never hurt me. He had lied. Vihaan must have seen the shock on my face because he scoffed. You think he's innocent, that he's the better man. He shook his head. He's just as guilty as I am. I wanted to deny it. I wanted to tell Vihaan he was wrong. But when I called Reyansh, his voice betrayed him before he even spoke. Who told you? I felt the breath leave my lungs. So it's true. Silence. Then, finally, a quiet, broken, yes. Chapter 12. The Night That Haunts Them. I forced Reyansh to meet me. He didn't hesitate. He showed up at my door within 20 minutes, looking exhausted, his usual calm demeanor cracked at the edges. I let him inside. Tell me everything. He hesitated, rubbing a hand over his face. You really want to know? Stop stalling, Ray. My voice shook. Did you kill someone? His eyes snapped to mine, wide with shock. No, we didn't, he exhaled, shaking his head. It wasn't like that. I folded my arms. Then what was it like? He ran a hand through his hair. It was late. Vihaan had been drinking. I should have stopped him, but I didn't. He swerved, and he swallowed hard. There was a guy on the road. We didn't see him until it was too late. I felt sick, and instead of calling the police, Vihaan panicked, Reyansh admitted. I tried to convince him, but he had connections. He knew he could make it disappear. His jaw tightened, and he did. My legs felt weak. You just let it happen. His gaze turned desperate. I didn't let anything happen, Arya. I stayed. I tried to make it right. But when Vihaan's family stepped in, it was out of my hands. Tears burned my eyes. You lied to me. His voice broke. I was trying to protect you. I let out a bitter laugh. Is that supposed to make me feel better? He stepped closer. I love you, Arya. That's the truth. The one thing that was never a lie. I shook my head. I don't know what's real anymore. His fingers brushed mine. Me. His voice was raw. We are real. But I wasn't sure I believed him anymore. Chapter 13. The man who loved me too much. I should have left that night. I should have walked away from both of them. But instead, I let Reyansh pull me into his arms. I let his lips find mine, desperate, aching. I let him kiss me like I was his salvation. And for a moment, I let myself believe it. But love built on lies is like a house built on sand. It was only a matter of time before it crumbled. Chapter 14. Vihaan's last game. Vihaan wasn't done with me. I should have known he wouldn't let me go that easily. A few days later, he showed up at my office, sliding a file across my desk. You're going to want to see this. I hesitated before opening it. And then, my entire world shattered. Reyansh's name, bank transactions, a cover-up, and a single line of text at the bottom. Reyansh didn't just witness the accident. He paid to make sure you never found out. My hands shook. No, he wouldn't. He did. Vihaan leaned back, smirking. Guess your knight in shining armor wasn't so perfect after all. My stomach twisted. Had I spent all these years loving the wrong person? Or was there no right person at all? Chapter 15. A love that feels like war. I stared at the file in front of me, my vision blurring. The words on the page screamed a truth I wasn't ready to face. Reyansh paid to keep the accident a secret. The man I trusted, the one who held me when I cried over Vihaan, the one who swore he was different, he had been hiding the biggest lie of all. I felt sick. Why are you showing me this? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Vihaan leaned forward, his smirk fading. Because I want you to see that he's not who you think he is. I shook my head, shoving the file back at him. And you are. You think this makes you better. I never pretended to be good, Arya. His voice was quiet, measured. But he did. And he let you believe it. My hands curled into fists. I don't need you to turn me against him, Vihaan. You don't have to believe me. His gaze darkened. Ask him yourself. Chapter 16. Fire and Ruin. I didn't text Reyansh. I didn't call. I needed to see the truth in his eyes. When I arrived at his apartment, he opened the door immediately, as if he had been waiting for me. Arya. I shoved the file against his chest. Tell me it's a lie. His expression faltered. I wanted him to deny it. I needed him to. But instead, he sighed, running a hand over his face. Arya, I can explain. My breath hitched. So it's true. Reyansh looked at me then, his dark eyes filled with something heavy. I did it to protect you. I let out a hollow laugh. Protect me, or protect yourself. His jaw clenched. You don't understand. Then make me understand. I screamed, my chest burning. All this time, you stood there, acting like you were different from him. Like you were the better man. My voice broke. But you were lying to me, Ray. He stepped forward, his fingers brushing mine. I never lied about loving you. I flinched away from his touch. Then why does it feel like you did? Pain flickered across his face. I was scared. I swallowed hard. Scared of what? That you'd leave. His voice cracked. That you'd hate me if you ever found out. Tears stung my eyes. And what do you think is happening right now? For the first time, I saw fear in his expression. Because he knew. He was losing me. Chapter 17. Running back to a mistake. I should have stayed away from Vihaan. But pain makes you reckless. It makes you crave the familiar, even when it's the last thing you need. I showed up at his apartment that night, my heart still raw from Reyansh's betrayal. Vihaan opened the door, surprised. Arya. I stepped inside without answering. He smelled like whiskey and regret. I should have left. But then, his fingers brushed my arm, and something in me snapped. I grabbed his collar, pulling him down to me, crashing my lips against his. He groaned, his hands gripping my waist, his body pressing into mine. Are you sure? He murmured against my lips. No, but I kissed him anyway. And that night, I drowned in the only kind of love Vihaan knew how to give. Desperate, selfish, fleeting. Chapter 18. The morning after regret. The sunlight felt cruel as it streamed through the window. I sat up, pulling the sheets around me. Vihaan was still asleep beside me, his arm draped over my waist. I stared at the ceiling, guilt clawing at my chest. What had I done? I slipped out of bed carefully, grabbing my clothes and heading for the door. But before I could leave, Vihaan's voice stopped me. You're running again. I turned, my throat tightening. I shouldn't have come here. His gaze was unreadable. But you did. I closed my eyes. It was a mistake. Silence. Then, softly, was it? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because I didn't know anymore. Chapter 19. The look in his eyes. When I finally saw Reyansh again, I knew he could tell. His eyes darkened, his hands balling into fists. You went to him. I swallowed hard. You slept with him. His voice was low, controlled, but barely. I flinched. I was hurt. I wasn't thinking. Reyansh let out a sharp, bitter laugh. You weren't thinking. He shook his head. You always run back to him, Arya. No matter how much he breaks you. Tears burned my eyes. And what about you? I shot back. You broke me too, Ray. His face twisted with pain. I never wanted to hurt you. Well, congratulations, I whispered. Because you did. He exhaled shakily. I don't know how to fix this. I laughed bitterly. Maybe you can't. His jaw clenched. Do you love him? I froze. I didn't know the answer anymore. But the silence was enough. Reyansh turned away, his voice hollow. I can't keep waiting for you, Arya. And just like that, I lost him too. Chapter 20. A love that was never ours. Days passed. Then weeks. I stayed away from both of them. Vihaan called. I ignored it. Reyansh didn't call at all. For the first time in years, I was alone. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what I needed. Unraveling Us. A love triangle of passion, betrayal, and secrets. Chapter 21. Drowning in silence. Silence should have been peaceful. Instead, it felt suffocating. For the first time in years, I had no one to run to. No Vihaan waiting in the shadows, no Reyansh ready to catch me when I fell. Just me, and the weight of everything I had done. I had spent years believing I was the victim, waiting, longing, begging to be chosen. But maybe I had been the villain, too. I had let them hurt me, but I had also hurt them. I had broken Reyansh the same way Vihaan had broken me. And now, I wasn't sure if there was anything left to fix. Chapter 22. The Reckoning. The universe wasn't done punishing me yet. I found out the truth about Reyansh before I was ready to face it. I was sitting in a cafe, staring at my untouched coffee, when a voice I barely recognized spoke behind me. You don't know everything, do you? I turned. It was a woman I had never seen before. Dark eyes, red lips, confidence dripping from every word. Excuse me, I asked, my voice wary. She smirked. You're Reyansh's girl. Or, at least, you were. Something about the way she said were made my stomach twist. I don't know who you are, I said, standing. And I don't have time for this. But before I could leave, she placed a small envelope on the table. You should know the truth before you go running back to him, she said, before turning and walking away. I stared at the envelope, my fingers trembling as I reached for it. Inside, there were photos. Photos of Reyansh, with her, holding her, kissing her. Dates were printed on the back. 2 months ago, a week before he kissed me. My vision blurred, the weight of betrayal slamming into my chest. Reyansh, my Reyansh, hadn't been waiting for me all these years. He had been waiting for whoever was convenient. And I had been a fool to believe I was the only one. Chapter 23. Confrontation. I didn't think. I just drove. I stormed into Reyansh's apartment, the photos clenched in my fist. He looked up in surprise, his expression softening, until he saw my face. Arya, I threw the pictures at him. Tell me this is a lie. His face drained of color. He picked up one of the photos, his fingers tightening around the edges. He didn't deny it. The air between us grew heavy, suffocating. I was going to tell you, he said finally. I let out a sharp, bitter laugh. When? After I fell for you. After I stopped looking at Vihaan. His jaw clenched. It wasn't like that. Then tell me how it was, I demanded, my voice shaking. He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. I tried to move on, Arya. I wanted to stop waiting for you. I laughed coldly. So you replaced me. His eyes flashed with something unreadable. You replaced me first. That shut me up. Because it was true. I had gone to Vihaan the second I thought Reyansh had betrayed me. I had given my body to another man out of pain, just like he had done. We were both guilty. And that realization hurt more than anything. Chapter 24. The final goodbye. I didn't know who I was anymore. I had spent years defining myself by the men in my life. The one I chased. The one who waited. But now I felt like a stranger to myself. I stood in front of the mirror, searching for the girl I used to be. The one who believed in love. The one who believed in forever. She was gone. And maybe that was for the best. The next day, I made a decision. I packed my bags. I left the city. I left them. I didn't say goodbye. Because some love stories didn't say goodbye. Because some love stories don't end with a choice. Some love stories end when you finally choose yourself. Epilogue. A love that never was. Months passed. Then a year. I built a new life. A quiet one, without messy love triangles and broken hearts. I never called Vihaan. I never called Reyansh. But sometimes, late at night, I thought about them. I thought about what we could have been if we weren't so flawed. But some things aren't meant to be. And for the first time, I was okay with that.